All right, here we are, a short 4.5 minute video about the Westlake Inter-Am motorcycle race, November 30th, 1969. It was an awesome time when Edison Dye brought over the top Europeans to face the top American riders. It was great, and he also did the Hopetown race, GP race. And there's my good friend Jeff Krieger. This is during practice on his 360 Mako. And I think he later broke his leg during the first moto, maybe like on the first lap. So I went to visit him in the hospital later on. But anyway, so I think this was still during practice, and it was absolutely amazing how fast the Europeans were at this time compared to the fastest Americans. I think all of our fastest Americans got lapped, maybe even twice, some of them, by the Europeans, and it was just absolutely amazing. Like they rode their bikes differently. They even sat on them differently. They just sat on the bikes. I think that there might be Joel Robert in the 250 class. They said just during practice, they're warming up, getting used to the track. It's just been watered there. And at number 68 there was another guy I knew. I'll tell you a little bit more about him later. And this is coming around the first turn. Like I said, this is in practice, but my gosh, when that banner dropped in the actual race, it was absolutely amazing how much dust. And the start was an uphill start, very much like Saddleback Park. It was basically a drag race, I don't know, maybe eighth of a mile or so, and then they had a left turn at the top, and just the amount of dust that the Europeans produced as they were leading the pack. And anyway, so once again, I believe this was just still during practice, and I was just walking around the track with my 8mm camera, and even Gary Bailey was there on his Greaves. You know, he was about 6'4" or something, real tall, skinny guy, and he got his butt kicked. Tim Hart, I believe, was there riding Orange Montesa Capra, number 33, and here they are coming around the first turn just after the start. And my God, look at all that dust. And if you weren't up in the top 3 or 4, man, you'd be eating dust the rest of the race. And then, not sure. That's Dave Bickers right there in the green. My comrade, English comrade, passed away just a couple of years ago. Shame, he's a good guy. And I think if I remember right, in the 250 race, Joel Robert pulled out during the race, or he didn't even race. Something happened to the bike or whatever. He decided not to. There's Dave Bickers again, number 6 on the 250 CZ. He was on the CZ team, rode alongside Joel Robert and some more of the guys. But anyways, very interesting race. And this is the first and only time I actually ever saw the Europeans racing, and I was 19 years old at the time, and it was great. It was great to see them, and so on. And Edison Dye was very instrumental in bringing the Europeans over. He did the very famous Hopetown Grand Prix in '67, and they raced that for a few years after, and then litigation and typical, they shut it down. And Westlake now here is very similar. They shut it down. They stopped racing there. It's an old movie set, and now it's all full of houses. The barn that they rode through, the race through, was shut down, torn down. Okay, here's I think that right there is Tim Hart, right there, number 33, on his Montesa. But I don't know who the rest of the guys are. This has been so long; it's been almost 50 years. But good times, good times. Bent Aberg from Sweden on his 360 Husky, I believe, won that race, and he was battling, and he won the 500cc World Championship that year. And Arne Kring was another fast Swede. He was, I think, they were battling for the lead today in the 500 Pro class, when the Europeans absolutely spanked the Americans.